And somewhere on that drive home, I felt something I didn't have a word for. And the particular ache of watching a chapter close that you did not know was ending until it already had. You're listening to It's Your Turn with Shari Biery. I'm Shari, a national board certified health and wellness coach, best-selling author, speaker, and creator of the Calm Method. Each week, this show is about taking your turn in midlife, embracing new purpose, new passions, and new possibilities. New episodes drop weekly, so be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. Now, let's get started. A friend of mine moved back to Ohio recently. She had grown up there, and a few years back, life moved her to Florida, close enough that for a few years we actually got to be in each other's lives in a way that decades of distance had made that hard. So, what did this mean? It meant more visits, more lunches, more afternoons together, more the kind of time that a 30-year-old friendships are built to hold. After I had one of those afternoons with her, they had recently decided to move back to Ohio. And after I spent that afternoon with her, I was driving home a few days before she left. And we had spent the day at her pool. It's the easy kind of hours that happen when you have known someone for so long that you don't really need a plan. And somewhere on that drive home, I felt something I didn't have a word for. It wasn't grief exactly, and it wasn't loneliness exactly. It was something in between. And the particular ache of watching a chapter close that you did not know was ending until it already had. So there's something that, I think is so different in midlife about friendships. And, friendships that we have in midlife, sometimes they just fall away. And no one really warned us about losing these types of friendships. They don't end with a fight. They typically don't end with a betrayal or falling out or a dramatic conversation you'll replay for years. They just end quietly with a move, kids leaving home, maybe a career change or a retirement, a life that takes someone 3 states away and leaves you on your long drive home wondering how this happened. Think about it. The friendships of early adulthood had structure holding them together. It was school, maybe college. And then as you aged, so did our kids. We had kids. So then we had neighborhoods. We had maybe the office or workspace. And then with kids, playgroup turned into sporting events, turned into school events. And you didn't have to work that hard to stay connected because the structure did it for you. Something to really think about, midlife removes the structure. And when the structure goes, so do the access points. It could be the casual Tuesday coffee or the afternoon at someone's pool where you stay longer than you planned because the conversation is good. The shared context that made everything feel less alone. Nobody warned us that this would be one of the losses. We talked about kids leaving. We've talked about bodies changing. We talk about careers pivoting. But think about this. Nobody sat us down and said some of your most important friendships are going to quietly drift. And it's going to feel like something is wrong with you. And nothing is wrong with you. It isn't personal, it's structural. The loneliness that settles into midlife, it's not a personal failure. It really is structural. The systems that used to create connection without effort have dissolved. And rebuilding those access points as an adult intentionally is genuinely hard work that nobody prepared us for. As I was preparing for this podcast, I did a little bit of research and I found a survey done by the Survey for Center on American Life. And it made me pause because this was the part that we had to look at, or I wanted to kind of point out. In 1990, about 4 in 10 women reported having 6 or more close friends. And today, that number has dropped to roughly 1 in 4. So women are not becoming less interested in friendship. It's just that the conditions that made friendship easy have quietly disappeared. So this is not a you problem. This is a season problem. And that disconnection matters more than it might seem. Because when we think it is an us problem, we turn inward. We decide maybe we're too much or too boring or too busy or too out of practice. And we simply stop reaching out. We accept the quiet as permanent. And when we understand, though, that it's structural, we can start building differently. 30 years is a long time to know someone. Long enough that she remembers versions of me I have almost completely forgotten. Long enough that we can sit in comfortable silence or talk for 4 hours without even noticing where time goes. What that drive home reminded me is that I cannot take the connections I have for granted. And I cannot wait for the structure to come back because it's not coming back. This season requires something different from us. It requires us to be intentional about who we gather around ourselves and how. It requires us to decide that our friendships are worth tending, that we are worth the effort of showing up for each other, that the loneliness we feel is not a sign that something is permanently broken. It's a sign that we're human and we need people, and that is nothing to be ashamed of. So, what can we do about this? I'm not going to give you a 5 step plan to fix your social life by Friday. So, let's just make that really clear. But I will tell you what has helped me and what I hear from women who are going through this too at this time in our lives. One, reach out first, even when it feels vulnerable. Most of us are waiting for someone else to make the first move, which means almost everyone is waiting. So think about that. Number 2, name it out loud to a friend. Something as simple as, I miss the kind of connection we used to have without trying. That sentence alone changes things. 3, let go of needing it to look the way it used to. New seasons sometimes call for new kinds of connections, new behaviors, new rhythms and patterns. It's not a replica of what you had at 25 or 35. And finally, give yourself permission to grieve the friendships that have quietly drifted, even if nothing went wrong. A loss is still a loss, even when it's no one's fault. So before you go, I always like to just add a question here at the end to just kind of have a reflection on this. So, for you, is there a friendship in your life right now that deserves more attention than you've been giving it? This isn't here to make you feel guilty. It's just to be honest. Reach out to that person and maybe one small reach towards her this week might help you both. So if you've been feeling that particular loneliness of this season, you're not imagining it, you're not alone. And if today's episode resonated, share it with a friend. Share it with someone who you know could hear this message and really spark some conversation with the women in your life because we all need connection. So, as I always put at the end of the podcast here, if you want to try a resource that you haven't tried yet, if you haven't yet, Midlife Spark Type Quiz is at sharibiery.com/quiz to understand where you are right now and what kind of support might help you most at this time. So I want to thank you for spending this time with me today. And if you want to have a deeper conversation or you want to go to read a little bit more on this topic, I put a post over on Substack. So I'm at sharibiery.substack.com. And until next time, keep taking your turn.